I've been feeding my husband and his family period blood for a year now. Story time. My husband and I got married on a very complicated note. What I'm trying to say is, when I married my husband, his family was not really into the marriage. They didn't agree with me. Firstly, because of the background that I came from and the different denominations that we went to. Both of us are Christian, but our churches didn't allow us to get married from outside our church. So our marriage started on a basis that most people did not agree with it, but you know how men are. My husband agreed that he would sort it out. My family would eventually like me. And moreover, he told me I wasn't marrying his family, I was marrying him. So I went with the flow. To be honest, I was so in love with my husband, and whatever anyone else had to say about our marriage, I didn't really care. All I wanted to do was just to spend the rest of my life with him. So regardless of how rough the beginning was, we decided to settle and we began our marriage just like that. My husband, who we'll call Zach, comes from a very nuclear family. You know those families where you don't really get along with many cousins, aunties, so it was just his sister, his mother, father, and Zach himself. So when I mean that his relatives did not like me, it was very cardinal relatives to him. As for me, issues came from the church that I went to, but not really relatives, because my family is very dysfunctional and it's not the main reason that we're here. Anyway, Zach and I agreed that whether people were willing to let us get married or they were not willing, would still go ahead, even if it meant hiring a pastor, that none of our churches would get involved. Let me also mention here that Zach is very much a mommy's boy. I mean, he's the only son that she has, so she is very much involved in his life. And this should have been the first red flag for me not to go ahead with this marriage, but you know how love is sometimes. Red flag number one is marrying a mommy's boy, but for me, I love this man so much, and he promised me that he would do whatever it takes to make sure that his mother gets comfortable with me and that we do end up having a happy home. Remember, I come from a very dysfunctional family, so it was very important that a functional family comes from me. I didn't want my kids to go through what I had gone through, so this marriage was very much important, but I forgot the necessary things. Anyway, that aside, Zach and I did end up getting married. We had a very beautiful wedding. His family attended, and everything was going on just fine. The preparations were a bit stressful. Not everyone was on board. His family left us to eat because, I mean, they were not really happy that I was going to be Zach's bride. We did what we had to do, and we had a very beautiful wedding. Now, you know how they say marriage is not really the wedding, it's everything after the wedding? This is where all the issues started between Zach and I. The first few things that would really irritate me is how his mother was always present in our house. If it wasn't the mother, it was the sister. It's like these two just used to rotate. Once one goes, the other person comes in. And his sister was also old enough. She was in uni, so she knew exactly what she was coming to do. I mean, why aren't you in school? And why is your mother here every single day? Also, I forgot to mention that when Zach and I were supposed to go for our honeymoon, his family decided that it was also the very perfect time for them to go for a family vacation. So his family ended up choosing the same destination as us for their vacation. So the entire honeymoon was more like a family reunion for them, because it wasn't just about me and Zach, it was about his entire family as well. Honestly, this moment was so awkward for me, because what do you mean my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, your sister is here? I couldn't even wear my bikinis comfortably, and I had planned out a whole Shein cut. I had gotten a whole lot of bathing suits. I had planned out my honeymoon, but it ended up being a family vacation, unfortunately. So already, though my marriage was very, very much fresh, I could already see the problems that I was going to face, because why is your family so invested in your marriage? I understand you're the only son, but you are grown up. That's why you have chosen to get married. Anyway, the honeymoon passed. I just taught myself to enjoy whatever I could. I took my pictures, and that was it for me. I was still very much in love with my husband, so sometimes even the bullshit that he would bring on my plate, I would just consume it. You know, when you're in love, you even tolerate things that you know this could be wrong, but you just don't want to accept that it's wrong. So you end up convincing yourself that maybe it's normal, and you just make excuses for the person. So eventually it got to a point where we were married, we were in our own house, but his family was constantly frequenting our home. I had no problem with that, but why can't you also just stay even at least more than a week in your own house? No week literally ever went by without them coming to our house. At this point, we are 1 year into our marriage, and let me tell you that a week had never passed without me seeing these people in my house. And also, to make matters worse, I married the breadwinner of the family, so everyone needed Zach in their lives somehow. Apart from these frequent visits, another thing that would get to me is how these people will visit. They were in my house, it became their house and their rules. We had to abide by what they wanted to eat, when they wanted us to cook, what time I should cook. Everything had to revolve around them. Even the washing powder that I use, they needed to choose it. Zach's mother in the kitchen would always go on about how her son doesn't like that type of food. I should cook it like this. He doesn't prefer it when I do what. It was always as if she married him and not me. But one thing I told myself is I will not allow these people finish the peace in my own house. I will make the rules and I will make my own peace. So every time she would say that, I would do the exact opposite. Even if sometimes I knew what she was saying was right, I would just intentionally do the opposite because I'm not going to give her the satisfaction that she's ruling this house. Anyway, months went by and this was getting out of hand. Even people around me, like my friends, every time I would explain my situation to them, everyone would literally be in shock because who behaves like that? Also, just because Zach was the breadwinner, it does not mean that these people were not living well. They were living well off. It's just that Zach had the most money above all of them. And I think as a couple, we were doing what we could because we were paying for his sister's school fees, which we didn't have to before the marriage. But after I got married, apparently Zach was stingy if he wasn't helping his family. So we took up the responsibility of her fees. We'd send her everything that she needed, but still I was never seen as a good wife. To be honest, there was only so much I could take, and at this point, I didn't even have a solution for my problem. Until one day, I was scrolling through TikTok and I came across this TikTok live. This TikTok live was basically a woman talking about how you can cast a spell on someone, make sure they do whatever you want. And somehow I ended up stumbling on a point where she mentioned to say, if you want someone to do whatever you would like them to do, especially in the situation of love, just get your period blood and mix it with the food that they would eat. I know this is absurd, but I was just trying it as a social experiment, to say the least. To be honest, I didn't even think it would work. So one day I just randomly tried what the woman was saying. According to her, every time that you remove your pad, you just get it and then just twist it in the food or whatever you were cooking. And she also mentioned that it was preferable that you cook food that is also red, e.g. maybe gravy. In the gravy, you just squeeze your pad in there or your tampon or whatever you are using, and that would work. Honestly, for me, I just thought she was bluffing. So I said, let me try it once. And somehow that day, everything that I told Zach to do, he did, even against his own mother's will. Honestly, I was still starstruck because I was wondering, is it just mere coincidence or whatever I did just worked? Because it had never happened that Zach did what I told him and not what his mother said. So, just like any logical person, I decided to try the same thing but on his mother and then see if she would control what we were going to eat that day. And let me tell you what, it worked again. Honestly, I couldn't believe what I had just noticed because you can't tell me at this point it was mere coincidence that I tried it on his mother and I tried it on Zach, and for both of them it worked, and the mother was a pain in the ass. So for it to work on her, I knew I was up to something. Sorry, but you have to go to part 2.
I feel like every family has family secrets, but I just want to expose the fuck out of mine because I think they're genuinely just so weird. Why should I not just like expose the fuck out of it? Growing up, my grandma always had this boyfriend. Let's call him Jared. My grandma was dating Jared. They never got married, but like a long-term boyfriend. I'm talking like 30 years. Probably fucking more than that. Jared is technically my mom's stepdad. Just keep that in mind. So a couple years ago, my grandma kicks it. She passes away. Rest in peace, bitch. Like, I love you. My grandma is dead. Leaves us all with Jared. I never fucked with Jared. I just was like, I don't like you. But ever since my grandma's passing, Jared has found a new obsession with my mother. Ignore this eye, I have allergies. It does look like I just ripped the fattest blunt though. Say a year and a half ago, I get a call from my mom being like, Jared's being really fucking weird. I'm like, what is he doing? Like, Jared sent me a text that he wants me to get dressed up and treat me like Pretty Woman. I said, bitch, what the fuck? My mom's like, no, Jared has like lost his mind. He also called your aunt, telling your aunt about a wet dream that he had. I said, bitch. Thing is, this is so unlike Jared. Like, my entire life before my grandma kicked it, Jared was not the type to be like creepy and fucking weird like he is now. It's insane. The worst part about this whole thing is like, it just gets worse, and Jared thinks my mom is equally obsessed with him. And my mom's like, what the fuck? Like, this is basically my stepdad. They were never that close either. Like, one time my mom was talking about her boyfriend and Jared's like, I don't want to hear about this. Like, Jared convinced himself that he was in a love triangle with my mom and her ex-boyfriend. I was like, this is getting really fucking weird. Like, I don't know what to do. She's receiving texts every day. Like, you're so gorgeous. You're so beautiful. From Jared. Jared is convinced my mom and him are like dating. The thing is, it's like, he's not losing it really. Like, he's at a good state of mind. Like, yeah, he's old as shit, but like, he knows better to try and fuck his basically his ex-wife's like daughter. So last week, my mom texted Jared and she was like, hey, just like making sure you're okay with all the snow and everything. Here's the thing is, my mom's a good woman, because if it was me, I'd be like, Jared, shut the fuck up. Like, stop trying to hit on me. You're creepy as shit. Like, my mom is like, no, I would never do that. Like, such an angel. So Jared responds to my mom's text, and I'll post all of these on my Instagram story. Jared responds and it was like, oh, I'm okay. Thank you for like checking up on me. Like da-da-da, thank you. And then my mom just hearts the message, like just loves the message. This motherfucker texts my mom and is like, Dina, you showed me with all the hearts that you sent today that the feelings I have for you are mutual. Because my mother loved his message. Like, my darling Dina, all the hearts that I've received from you today just shows that you're feeling the exact same way about me. My mom's like, what the fuck? Like, how the fuck did that happen? So Jared now thinks that my mother is obsessed with him because she loves some of his messages. Jared's like, this bitch wants to fuck. So Jared keeps texting my mom like, oh my God, but he never would say, oh my God. Jared's like, meet me here for breakfast, do this with me. And my mom's like, no, actually I can't. Like, I'm headed to the city. And he's like, why? And he's like, your daughter still live down there? My mom's like, no, like my boyfriend lives down there. I'm going to go see my boyfriend. Jared's weird ass loses his goddamn mind. He's like, boyfriend? My mom's like, yeah, like I mentioned to you that my boyfriend lives down there. Jared's like, you never mentioned that. My mom calls me and she's like, Livy, he's literally lost his mind. I'm like, Mom, it is so crazy to me that like you don't block this man. Like, yeah, we might have to see him at like family parties and things like that. But like, I would just set him so straight and be like, Jared, you're so fucking weird. So now Jared is just pissed off that my mom has a different boyfriend. And like, the thing is, Jared fully met and talked to my mom's boyfriend at Christmas Eve. The thing is, I always tell my mom, I'm like, give me one shot. Like, just please let me just have a phone call with Jared so I could be like, bro, literally fuck all the way off. Like, literally stop being a fucking creep. But I'm not gonna lie to you, the sick and twisted part of my brain is like, what if I just like told Jared my mom's equally in love with him and make him propose to her at like Christmas dinner just because I find it fucking funny? And like, I just know my sisters would also eat that up. They'd be like, this is too funny. Like, just really play a huge fucking joke on my mom. But honestly, I really wouldn't be funny to Jared. He actually would think that he's getting married to my mother. Because he lives in the land of Delulu. And don't get me wrong, I'm a frequent visitor of the land of Delulu. But I'm not that Delulu where I would think my dead girlfriend's daughter would let me hit. Like, Jared's a different breed. And those are just a little bit of my weird family secret.
Hey guys, get ready. I want to talk about how I'm grounded again. This situation makes me so mad because it's literally so unfair, the reason why I got grounded, and I'm just so freaking upset right now. Okay, so basically last night my house got TP'd, and I know who it was, but like I don't care enough to drag names into this, so we're not gonna talk about that. But anyways, the people that TP'd my house like did it really early to the point where my parents were still up. So they had already like been caught and whatever, and then my parents go back inside and I start cleaning up the mess. And then their car keeps like coming back. I want to say their car came back like 5 or like 3 times, somewhere around that, and they just kept throwing toilet paper outside the windows. And so like I don't know if my friend is like slower or something, but she picks up a brick and throws it at the car. Anyways, obviously that causes like severe damage to the car, and then like all you can hear is like them saying they're gonna fight us or whatever. And so obviously like someone went inside to get my parents because like I had no idea what was going on because I didn't even know a brick was thrown at the car. So I go to look at the car and it's like damaged pretty badly. Like it's not like super terrible, but like obviously it's gonna be expensive to repair. Like it's not like it was like a whole side. It was like lower and it was still pretty bad. And so obviously like when my parents get out, they're pretty freaking pissed because one of my friends basically just vandalized a car. Like obviously toilet paper is still vandalizing, but like not damaging. You can pick that up. But anyways, my mom just walked in here and now I'm even more pissed. Okay, I don't really remember where I was at in the story, but the cops get called obviously because they're not leaving our house and because of like my friend who vandalized their car. Anyways, here's the part where I come in. So basically like I try to tell my mom I'm sorry and that like I explain like what happened and stuff and like how I like had no clue this was gonna happen and like how I was completely blindsided by everything. And she's just like, Hope, what the fuck did you do? Like you knew this was gonna happen, didn't you? And I was like, what? I literally had no fucking I'm sorry guys. I literally had no clue. Like I'm like just so mad right now. Like I just like can't even, I don't know. I don't even care about TPing. I care about the fact that I'm grounded. Well, I kind of do care about the TPing because it's like not like it's my parents' house, but like I just don't. It's not like I was the one who picked it up. So anyways, back to the story. I just like keep trying to like apologize and stuff, and she's like, if you say one more word, you're grounded. Well, clearly, like, I said another word, so, like, I was like, but Mom, like, I just want to let you know I'm sorry. I said something along the lines of that. And then I guess that literally gets me grounded. Okay, I don't know where I was at, but I think it was at the part where she said something about, like, me being grounded if I don't shut my mouth. Anyway, so after all that, like, fast forward to the next day, which is today, I literally wake up. The first thing I do is I go downstairs. I'm like, hey, Mom, like, I'm so sorry about last night. I didn't, know any of that was gonna happen. And, I was basically apologizing for something I didn't do because I honestly literally didn't do anything. And she said something like, I forgive you, but you're still grounded. And so obviously I just like literally go off the rails. Like, I honestly don't even know. When I get mad, like I start crying. So I literally just started freaking like tears are pouring down. So I was just so freaking mad because like I literally did nothing. Now here's what she told me about like why I was grounded. She said something about me hanging out with people that do stupid shit like that. That's why I'm grounded. I never thought in a million years that my friend would throw a brick at a car. So I'm grounded because I hang out with people who do stupid shit like that. But that's like the first thing that's like ever been brought to my attention. And so obviously like me and them are not allowed to hang out like at all, and I don't know when we'll ever be able to hang out again. But this literally feels like freshman year all over again. So I'm like hoping I don't go into another depression of feeling alone. Because freshman year I quite literally had nobody because I wasn't allowed to hang out with him. I mean, I have more friends now obviously, but like I just don't want that happening to me again. Anyway, so last night I had reached out to the guy whose car was damaged. And like I literally apologized on my behalf. I mean, I didn't even do anything obviously, but like I felt insanely bad. Like if the roles were reversed, I would have been in tears because my car got damaged. I honestly just wish my house never got TP'd because then I wouldn't be grounded. So like I literally just hate everybody right now. Like I'm just so done. Anyways, I low-key think I deserve an apology too because now I'm grounded. No, I'm just kidding, but like I'm still mad. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if I got grounded from the gym again because I don't even know. I don't even know if that's normal. Like, do you guys get grounded from the gym? If I do, I will actually like, I don't even know. Like, I'll just like, I don't know. But anyways, like, I hope you guys enjoyed me wanting to die in a hole, basically. But anyways, all is forgiven to people who TP'd my house, even though like I didn't get an apology. But just hopefully this doesn't happen again and that like I'm on good terms with everyone who did that because I don't want my house getting TP'd again.
My ex left me at the altar and now he wants me back. Story time. So my ex-fiance, who we'll call Steve, just completely disappeared the morning of our wedding 2 years ago. He literally would not answer the phone to anyone, not even his own family. It was absolutely devastating. And I refer to this part of my life as the soul-crushing era. We ended up turning the wedding reception into a bit of a party to help me distract myself from the absolute pain of losing my fiancé. After the reception, I went back to our apartment and I slept on the bathroom floor in my wedding dress. Listen, don't judge, okay? We've all been there, alright? We've all been there. So the next day, Steve's mum actually came to my apartment. And she told me that Steve had actually run off with one of his exes. Steve and his ex had apparently reconnected a week before the wedding, and apparently he just couldn't go through with it after that. So yeah, instead of marrying me, Steve decides he's going to rekindle his relationship with his ex. His family was absolutely horrified, and I didn't hear from him in 3 months. You were supposed to marry me, and now you're not going to talk to me for 3 months. All right, Steve. So when he eventually called me, he told me that his ex had been hiding a child from him. And he decided the best thing to do would be to step up and be a father. At this point, I was so far past it, I'd been through a lot of therapy and I just had nothing to say to him. So this all happened about a year ago, which brings me to today. So after a lot of self-improvement and a lot of me rebuilding my self-esteem, I decided I was going to move to the UK. So last night I got a message request on Instagram and it was from Steve. He was basically saying, "Hi, I heard you moved to England and I think it'd be really good for us to connect when I travel there this year." I still have no clue how he knew that I'd moved. He was saying how he wanted to discuss what happened on the lead up to the wedding. He was like, "I hope I'm not overwhelming you, but let me know if you want to talk over lunch sometime." But I don't think I'm even at the point anymore where I crave closure. That's really hard to say, crave closure. But I also don't want to decline and then later on regret my decision. So what do you think I should do?
I was the mistress and the guy's wife found out. This is how we listen and we don't judge moment because I was 61 backwards. I was the victim here. There was this guy from my block that I always found cute. He was like the stereotypical cute guy for everybody. All my cousins, all my friends, like, found him cute. Like, he was the pretty boy of the block. My cousin started dating this guy from another street in our block. So when she started dating him, I would go more often to that street because she was there and I would always see the guy. Let's call him Cheaty because he's a cheetah ass. One day I'm walking with my cousin to my other cousin's man's house, and while I'm walking I see a group of boys, and in that group Cheaty is there. I don't talk to them because, again, like, I've only seen him from a distance. I've never, like, really, like, stopped to talk to him. I barely even knew his name. Hours pass and I then get home. When I get home, I get a message on Snapchat talking about, "Hey, ma." My intuition never fails because something in me told me, like, could this be Cheaty? Nah, I'm crazy. I replied and I was like, "Who's this?" And he was like, "You look beautiful today." And I was like, "But who's this?" And he said, "You didn't see me?" And I was like, But who is this? He sent me a picture of like his eye, and I was like, I know who it is. Right when he sends me that, I tell my cousin like, oh my God, look, this guy just hit me up. Because he was like the town cutie. So it was like, he hit you up? My cousin then told me like, I think he's dating somebody. Like, I think he has a girlfriend. And I was like, oh, word? So then I said, don't you got a girlfriend? And he said, nah, we broke up. So I was like, cha-ching! Or so I thought. Few days pass and I go to my cousin's man's house because that's where we will all chill. And he will be there too, and he'll give me like the little side eye, yada yada. And then a couple days pass, babe. And he said, I got back together with my girlfriend. So then I told him, like, okay, we're not gonna continue this. Like, we're not gonna continue talking. The heck? I'm not about to be your side piece. Couple days pass and I'm in class and I get a message from him on some, what are you doing, yada yada. Me and him get to talking, but it wasn't nothing too crazy until I go out clubbing one day, and in that club, who do I find? I found Chidi, and my drunk ass was on some, come here baby, and he was on that type of timing too. So I was like, mind you, this guy was an older guy, so in my head I'm like, oh my God, I'm winning out here because I'm a little 61-year-old backwards and he's a little something older. I completely just started to disregard that he had a girlfriend. Because that night he was acting like he didn't have a girlfriend. So it was like, again, I've changed my ways. I would never do this again. After the club, we leave together and we go to his friend's house, you know, to get to know each other a little more. And he tells me like, if we're going to do this, I hope you know it's just lust. It's not love. From what he thought, baby. Because he thought he was going to be the one not to fall in love. Wait till you guys see how this ends. I then went on Google and I was like, what the heck does lust versus love mean? Because what do you mean? And I found out and I was like, oh, so he thinks I'm a hoe. We get to talking and we get to do the freaking leaky stuff because we just started like that. Like, it's just gonna be like a little friends with benefits. We're not gonna do nothing crazy. We didn't go on dates or none of that until I fell in love. So he would tell me things and I'll get like a little butthurt, and he noticed that. And he would tell me like, remember I told you, like, I have a girlfriend. I started to distance myself a little bit because I was like, I'm not about to deal with this. When I distanced myself, I guess he noticed. So then he started to hit me up more. So he was like, can you please like chill with me? We're not gonna do nothing. Like, I just deadass just like want to chill with you and talk to you because you a vibe. We met up and we did just that. Like, he started putting me onto his music. I showed him the music I like. We didn't even kiss. We did none of that. We literally were just chilling. And I was just like in my head like, oh my God, he's so in love with me. He's so in love with me now. Months passed, maybe like even a year passed of this like ongoing situation thing. So my cousins and I, we all go out to this place and Chidi comes to that place with us. Chidi was all on top of me in that place. And I'm just thinking like, oh my God, do his friends know? Because his friends were there too. Because he was all over the place with me. Like, he was, like, me and him was besties that day. And guess what? I just fell more in love. Me and him then talked that night. And he told me, he's like, you know what's crazy? Today made me realize, like, if my girl was ever acting the way I was acting with you tonight, I would probably pew her. And I was like, oh, he was like, yeah, because like it's not even giving lust anymore. We're literally giving like a full-blown relationship. And that's where I draw the line. And I was like, all right, baby, that's where I draw the line. Like, who is you? Who is you? So we stopped talking for a bit. And then comes a day that I am in college, dorming. He hits me up and he's like, yo, I really gotta see you. Like, I wanna hang out with you. He comes to my dorm. We hang out and everything. While we're hanging out in my dorm room, we start doing more than hanging out, you know? We start getting it going. As we're getting it going, me literally in the front, him ass out in the back. Like, the door of my dorm room was over there and his butt was facing like the door. Right there while he's my roommate walks in. Stay tuned for the whole story time because this video is not gonna fit on just one TikTok video. Because his girl gets involved, she finds out everything. We have a whole pregnancy scare, like, it's a whole thing.